Happy Monday. This Monday is going to be crazy. Why? Because there's 11 chefs in the kitchen of our head. What happens when there's more than one chef in the kitchen? The food gets ruined because you're second guessing the first chef. That's why there's a saying of there should be only one chef in the kitchen. And so when there's 11 chefs in the kitchen of our mind, what happens? We get paralyzed and we get analyzed and we get hesitant. Is that good to have 11 kitchens in your head? No, it is not good. This is the problem. The problem is people forget who told you what. Because are there really 11 chefs in the kitchen? Or are there 20 plus feeding our brain, pushing information into our brain when we should start categorizing and solving for this problem, which is who told you what? And are there too many chefs in the kitchen? Where one chef in the kitchen and you're going to have a meal made with love because we hopefully love ourselves. But what happens when there's 9, 10, 20 chefs in the kitchen of our brain? Stuff starts to go kind of sideways. Let's try to couple this focus with this other truth, which is we are the sum total of the 5 people that we hang out with most. So 11 chefs in the kitchen of our brain with we are the sum total of the 5 people that we hang out with most. What we're aiming towards is to have a live action bibliography. This is the first time I've ever sneezed on live. Cool. Why is sneezing good? Because we're expelling information and that which does not serve us, which is 11 chefs in the kitchen. Being able to bibliography what we know and from where we got the information. Ginormous step. Where if our book is a life and if our life is a book, don't you see how when we think of ourselves as a bibliography, we're now doing one chef per mind. We're doing one chef, not 11 chefs in the kitchen of our brain. And we're being respectful of the the comments where what's going on in the comments? It's adding chefs to this kitchen, right? And do you see how I read the comments, but realize that currently there is one chef in the kitchen? And that's where we take something that's going on live time and mesh it into what we're trying to do in our life off of YouTube, which is 11 chefs in the kitchen. Is that ruining your brain? Because the goal of having one chef where you're the chef and you're identifying bibliography. These bullet points are amazing, by the way. Cooking one thing. What are you trying to cook right now with your brain? What are you trying to make? And when that question gets answered, you can now put the 5 to 11 people who are backseat driving your brain in the back seat versus we are driving our own brain by realizing our brain can only cook one thing. Is this also my IQ 500 video? Yes, because it only seems like I have a really high IQ because I allow my brain to cook one thing. And if we're connecting here, it is on this topic, which is 11 chefs in the kitchen. Good luck with that situation because that's going to push your IQ below what your real IQ is. That's what it means to doom scroll is you're dooming yourself with having too many cooks in the kitchen. And so we can align, we can cook the one thing. Now, this is where this video is going to get crazy because when we get used to cooking one thing, we can have a 7-course output where we're the chef and we're now making 7 things. Are we talking about practicing on an Instapot? Sure. Because when we've never cooked one thing, because we've never watched a video, or actually we've watched a ton of videos on how to cook stuff, and what does that do? It makes us hungry, and then we want to order food. Where that's not the point of the video to make you hungry. The point of the video was to teach you how to cook food. And so what we can do with cooking one thing is realizing that we can cook a sequence of things, and this is where this video gets crazy. We can have a board of directors where the 11 chefs in our kitchen are actually all helpful to us. So the state of where most normal people are is this. It's a scroll of people that are pushed into your algorithm, and you're not quite sure why people are there. Like, I realize that we're connecting right now because of the algorithm, because a lot of you guys aren't subscribed, and that's perfectly fine, which I'm dropping videos new every Thursday. But the algorithm is your default chefs in the kitchen. What is on the other side of progress and treasure is determining that you can pick the 3 to 11 chefs in the kitchen on your personal board of advisors, basically your board of directors for you incorporated. In order to go from 5 to 11 chefs in the kitchen that you don't know to 11 terrific board of directors, you're initially going to go through a difficult phase, which is having one chef in the kitchen. And that one chef, counterintuitively, it is not you as the one chef. It's going to need to be a mentor. And no, I'm not your mentor. I am simply a guide where you need to find one mentor that is your one cook to get you off of 0. So the confusing point is this. Currently, this is the problem. There's 11 chefs in the kitchen of your brain, and it's hard to sort who told you to do what. What you're trying to move towards is having multiple chefs that all work for you as a board of directors. But the dynamic there doesn't transition until we are able to have one chef in the kitchen. I'm not saying stop doom scrolling. It's not that you're just going to just quit cold turkey. It's to scroll and train your algorithm for a purpose, which is why we can do this. We're trying to affect the algorithm that is our Instagram algorithm, if you're on there, our X, Twitter algorithm, and most importantly, our YouTube algorithm. This is why if we remix a video for 15 seconds on a video that we're trying to execute, even though we're not talking, by green screening, we hit remix and then green screen, what happens is we begin to code the algorithm versus letting the algorithm code us. This is at the heart of free will. And it's not just stop algorithm scrolling. It is not just quit cold turkey. It is realizing that currently, and with people that we see, there's 11 chefs in their kitchen, and they're kind of confused. They pretend to be not confused and they pretend to be okay with it, but they're confused, and that's the dynamic of too many chefs in the kitchen. So we don't want to necessarily stop doom scrolling, but to realize that where stuff comes from and what you might expect. And so when you have no idea where stuff comes from, and let me give you an example of this, where you'll be walking by a place and then you'll be like, I heard the reviews on the place weren't that good. And then you say, oh, well, who said that that restaurant wasn't any good? And you're like, oh, I forget. That's a lot of recommendations is, oh, I generally heard some non-specific thing and I don't know if I can trust it, but I just because you're just being flooded with information. And so you hear it's literally hearsay where you can't then subscribe to, oh, this person is right 95% of the time. And so when it's the 11 chefs in our mind, we do everything to be, did we think of it or did somebody else think of what they're trying to tell my brain? Does that make sense? It does to me. This is why it makes sense to me. Because when I understood entrepreneurship, and it's okay if you don't want to be an entrepreneur, but this is just the exercise, which is why this exercise so much matters. Because within entrepreneurship, there's a bunch of counterintuitive truths that once you start to archive them, everything just makes so much sense. So let me continue with entrepreneurship. I had one guy programming my brain. Why? Because he was just like the last guy who was trying to tell me something and I didn't listen. And so when he was telling me similar things, this time not about baseball, this time about entrepreneurship, I'm like, oh my God, this is the same chef that I should have let mentor me in my own brain. Psychocybernetics, neurolinguistic programming, goal setting, not being your own worst enemy, like all the things that visualization, all the things that I should have done that I didn't do, now front and center again. So I'm like, okay, let's work this experiment of the Mark McCormack thought experiment. And I'll run with this. And I'm not going to water down entrepreneurship content from Mark McCormack with some other person because I didn't want to have 5, 10 chefs in my kitchen of my brain. I really needed results and I was really focused. So I'm like, let's just focus on the one idea. And what happened on the other side of it, which is why you guys hear me quoting other entrepreneurship leaders, entrepreneurship mentors, entrepreneurship content providers, entrepreneurship essays, is once I had the lens and the framework of chapters 1 through 14 from Mark McCormack, I was able to quickly archive and categorize into 14 categories, 1 through 14. And this actually dovetails, this being 11 chefs in the kitchen of your brain, dovetails perfectly to another video called IQ 500. Because I have an IQ under 90, but I seem like I have an IQ of 5,000 in Silicon Valley. No joke, smartest person in Silicon Valley. Why? And I say this as a Chinese person who cannot say this unless I can defend it with the simplest of things. It became IQ 500, which theoretically is impossible. But theoretically, with an M at the end of theory, theorem, massively proven Why? Because it's 14 categories, one dude dropping genius shiitake as if Mark McCormack got a computer science degree from the University of Illinois. So to sum up everything, it's not funny, but it's true. And this is some Chinese trash talking because if my black and white friends can talk trash, this is Chinese person trash talk, which is summarized to be this: 11 chefs in the kitchen of our mind is how everyone else is trying to do entrepreneurship. It's trying to do baseball. It's trying to do how to be a slightly better artist. Where over Christmas and Thanksgiving, I made it a practice to draw slightly better because I'm horrible at drawing. And I had one account that I would draw shapes and then draw, practice drawing. And so what that did is it got my brain to be not my normal brain, but the brain that is the creative creation, which is also why I did the 99 Days of Christmas, which today is day 56. But the component of chefs in the kitchen cuts right to where I see when people don't want, or they, it's not that they don't want to get better. It's just that their brain gets confused about what to do next. It's speed of execution, it's paralysis of too much information. This cuts to so many why 0 to 1 never really took off, because in the book 0 to 1, Peter never talks about how to go from 0 to 1 billion, let alone 0 to 1 million. And so that made me seem like a genius because I'm solving these things, which is a lot of the problems which we're exploring here, which is how do we get off of $0? And where it seems like, just even in the comments, it seems like there's confusion, and that's okay that there's confusion in the comments. But if you rewatch this video, I've constructed it to identify the attention getter, which is the problem. There's 11 chefs in the kitchen. Problem: when there's more than one chef making a meal, your meal turns out kind of rotten, in the same way that it's difficult to drive with 13 or 5 or even 2 backseat drivers giving you advice where we should just rely on the one driver. And then the solution for that initially is to have one chef in the kitchen. And counterintuitively, that one chef is not you in the kitchen of your brain. It's having a mentor, one mentor for one task. I'm not saying join the cult of Mark McCormack, because one, it's not even a cult, it's like an open source set of information in 14 categories. What I am saying is practice having one chef at a time. It's like the meditation practice of being present with one thing, where let's say you heard something good from this video in the 6 minutes that you popped in and out of. What you can do as a brain exercise is see the problems in other people that we have, because I also have this, which is, oh my gosh, too many chefs in the kitchen. Because another example is, let's say I'm trying to get better at tennis, and I'm listening to one person coach me, while another person who's coming literally out of left field is throwing some coaching advice. So in tennis, I've got to turn my backhand, okay? I've got to close my shoulder. I've got to transfer weight. Okay, a backhand's not simple. It's complex because I do a two-handed backhand. And then meanwhile, another person's screaming, "Hey, hey, hey! Your chin's in the wrong position." Like, well, why don't you tell me where my chin should be? And there's just another second chef in the kitchen. Whereas at least if you're screaming something, scream, "Hey, chin to right shoulder, chin to left shoulder for your two-handed backhand. Chin to chin, shoulder to shoulder." That would be helpful, but not specific because it's the second chef barking a coach. And being coached while you're taking the repetition, becomes incredibly confusing because it's confusing enough to have one person coaching you while you're going through the rep of football, where I need to be close shoulder, hip and shoulder timing. And so when there's something even more complex, which is adhering to New Year's resolutions in February, recounting what your goals were. Our inability to focus on what that thing was, in addition to the chef steps of, are we going to be cooking food in a pressure cooker with 4 ingredients? Have we tried and maybe messed up at least one time before even quitting? Have we ever watched one YouTube video and then rewatched that YouTube video after we tried that YouTube video? So the conclusion, the call to action is watch anyone's video. In fact, we can watch a video together that you want to get better at. Let's stick with the cooking example in a Instapot. You and I will watch the video together. One chef in the kitchen. So it's two chefs in two separate kitchens trying to get to the same goal. This is what a book club is. So think of this as video club, not a book club. It's a video club where we pick a video, a Gary Vee video for entrepreneurship. We pick a video, some random cooking dude or dudette's cooking channel. We study it together, and then we execute what the point of the video was, and then we do a video summarizing what we learned. So you see a video, you do the content in the video, and then we report back. That is one chef in a kitchen at the next level because we're doing video club. Is this a brand new thing? It kind of is, because do you want to join a book club with me? But let's also do an easier thing, which is video club. So you direct message me a video that Dan Martell conjured up that we then do together, or Gary Vee Psycho Saturday selling. I love that. Just listen to the coach and the assistant coaches. Your teammates are normally wrong. This is the genius thing with that, but it's also going to wildly help you the perfect hat trick, which is this. Great teams that we are on, all of us are reading from the same 650 pages. And so this works perfectly as a student athlete. Why? Because when an athlete during a post-game interview says, "Oh, it seems like we're all on the same page," what they really mean to say is that there's one chef in the kitchen and we're all reading from the same 650 pages. And remember, when it's a coach and an assistant coach, the coach didn't write all 650 pages. The coach only wrote 300 pages and the assistants wrote 350 pages. I forgot to do my New Year's resolution. Let's do it right now, which is we watch one YouTube video. How student athlete am I? to make sure that I hydrate. You should be hydrating too because your brain's going to cycle up to an IQ of 500. You're welcome. Not going to edit that out. Why? Because when we're drinking water, we're literally meditating on this. Forgot to meditate because I lost my train of thought. I didn't lose my train of thought. This is my meditation. I want that water ingested to be the most useful next 4 minutes of your life. Let's go. The 650 pages are 300 by the coach and 350 by the assistant coach. And it's not that your teammates are necessarily wrong. Your teammates are not exactly on the same page. But you'll hear athletes saying this, which is this old dude who's on my team, who's somehow still amazing, I don't know why, he taught me what it meant to be a professional. You'll hear this time and time again, and I'm getting goosebumps. He taught me what it meant to be a professional. What he's saying is, I had no fucking idea that I needed to have 650 pages of content, mother scratching memorized. That's what it takes to be a professional entrepreneur. That's what it takes to be a professional person making 6 figures a year, because it's super competitive out there for money. Yeah, there's fraud for money, but Larry Chen can't even do anything about the fraud. Okay? Like, Elon Musk is trying his best, but like, there is so much fraud. What are we going to do? We're going to focus on not 15 chefs or even 12 chefs or default 11 chefs in the kitchen of our mind. We are, and I know I've got 2.5 minutes left to be the most valuable video that you've watched compared to all of 2024's video, which is being able to take action from a video that we will video club. We will VC. We'll video club. Just video club, not VC. Where we see a video, we do the video, the content inside the video, and then we report back what we did that was better because we were in video club. This is the IQ 500 maneuver, which is what I do annoyingly but legendarily, and look at like the people that were angry at my shit talk, which is, yes, listen to one person that you trust, but this is the encapsulation summary of it. Didn't matter if you missed it before. This is the encapsulation summary of it right now, which is, I will read a book before I go to math class, jump into that math class, ace that math class, and then talk shit saying thank you. That's how a Chinese person talks shit. Is they're like, well, shucks, my mother scratching valedictorian again, okay? Well, I'd like to thank Dick Nelson and Mr. Blaha. Like, that's how a Chinese person talks shit. And so book club in Silicon Valley was, oh, Larry, you did this genius shit of VC, not video club, but venture capital pitch. You're a genius with doing the reverse VC pitch. I've never seen so much genius shit that you did. And if you look up reverse VC, it is some of the most jaw-droppingly amazing stuff that you will ever see, okay? That you will ever see. Which is, I'm going to hold this book up. In fact, this will be the replacement for 11 Chefs in the Kitchen of Your Brain. How did I meet Stephen Blank? because some dude was trying to bang my hot first date. First date, he's trying to bang her from LA. This dude's a stud, and he thought that he could bang, let's call her Jessica, because that was her name. I go, stud from LA, what makes you such a stud? And he goes, he didn't say it, but he thought it. He goes, one chef in the kitchen. But he didn't say that. I found out because he said, oh, what makes me so awesome is because I execute 4 steps to the epiphany. I'm like, whoa, did you just make that up? And he's like, no, I read it. I'm like, oh shit, you look like a stud. You're trying to sleep with my girl, and you are a stud. Women are not in short supply, but studs, teaching people genius shit, that is kind of in short supply. So I'm like, okay, I'll play. Who wrote that book? Without blinking, he goes, Stephen Blank. I'm like, what? You really, I'm impressed by you. So I go and order the book. Who do I meet? 3 days later, going from Crasher to VIP because I bought that book, I read that book, and then I aced that book, and I also reverse engineered why I was so awesome because of Stephen Blank's book as it connected to Mark McCormack's book. Do you see how this is 11 chefs now working for me on my board of directors? Am I paying Steve Blank? Well, I actually paid him $65 for his mother-scratching paperback book. Who in their confidence can charge $65 for a paperback? Like, that takes some confidence. That's board of directors. That's 11 chefs coherently conjuring up You Incorporated and increasing the value of You Incorporated. Video Club, me and you, DM me, text me a video that you want to study that's not creepy weird, okay? Some vanilla how-to video, and then we'll study buddy it, and I will show you how I learn and then how you learn, and then we'll combine sharing the one chef together in the brain of Video Club, which is what Book Club is. Book Club is that dude who is hitting on my girl and me. We're in a book club, and we are connecting over the one chef that is in our brain, which is Stephen Blank. And guess who's better at Stephen Blank driving the bus in my brain? Guess who's better? Me or LA guy? Me. Why? Because he was in front of me, and then he was cock-blocked by my giant brain acting as a penis because he didn't end up banging that girl. I did. And then in order to get her, because she was with him, not leaving him because she liked him, I went ahead and added Putty into my lineup because I replaced the chef of my brain. Old Larry would have just faltered and been like, "Oh, she's a 304, and I didn't want her anyway." No. So I replaced it with another person in my brain, and I'm like, what would a more resourceful version of Larry Chang do? Watching his girl get absolutely on the jocked of that. What would the most resourceful thing do? And then you ask yourself genius questions, which is one chef in the kitchen. That story is PG 28. That's a different story for a different time. But know that I solved it by having one chef in the kitchen, which was an incredibly resourceful person. Call to action. The most useful video that you've ever watched, which is 11 chefs in the kitchen of your brain. We will do a video, not a Larry Chang video. No fair doing that unless you really want to do that. You need to pick Gary V's video or something that I remixed. One of the videos that I remixed. Shelby Sapp, meet a future blonde billionaire. I'm batting 1,000. Let's watch one of her videos or some video, and then we will video club. So we watch the video. You DM me the video. We watch the video. Then we get better having watched that video, and then I will record a video based on a summary of the video. Video club. It's like book club. It's like book club. It's like book club. It's like book club, but for people that don't read very well. Video club. If you're drinking water and it's hurting your throat, you need to keep drinking that water. And you're probably drinking it cold. You should drink it room temperature. There you go. There you go. You're exactly right. It is mostly the assistant doing the pages 500 of 650. But guess what? It turns out when we are the number one QB, aka QB1, and we're carrying our own clipboard, we're doing 890 pages of the 650 pages because our coach Bill Belichick only did 630. And so we're adding another 900 pages to his 650 so that way we have a derivation off of page 172's spiking and forking into 8 other pages off of page 160, 172. And that lets us manage our head coach as the QB1. He does, I think, his recording. Does he know he's live? I don't know what these questions are. How do you get over the anxiety of leaving a job you're comfortable in, but there's no future in it? What? Like, it's a job. It's just over broke. Like, you're not supposed to leave just being over broke unless you're, like, somehow doing better at your next job. Do you see how now you're in my kitchen? Now you're in my kitchen. Like, you're literally in my kitchen. Wait a minute. Is this Cody? Did you change your name again? Oh my God. Okay. I'm going to DJ you being in my head into the focus of this video. Do you see how you went right into your own needs and your own shortcomings while participating in, quite frankly, one of my top 20 most genius videos that are going to get under 300 views again? Why? This video forces you to change. And the first thing you wanted to change is something that was non sequitur. It's French for your brain is getting run by 11 chefs. And the chef here is the money chef of the fiend of you spending more money than you saved. Like, that's one of the chefs. Oh my God, this video just got genius. Because it's not only the 11 chefs that you think are in your kitchen, it's the chefs that are pressuring you, and they're invisible. So you have an invisible fiend of spending money at just over broke, which the conclusion to your answer is you should do your job better versus being on YouTube thinking about not doing your job. So let's put 11 chefs aside and have it be the one chef of your boss, which is what does your boss want you to do so that way you do the job so well that you start managing your boss. Oh my God, this video is genius because now we're back to being QB1. So QB1 used to never carry a clipboard because QB1 was a lazy, tall, good looking, athletic mother scratcher. Why are you putting him at quarterback? He's the best looking guy on the team. He looks like a quarterback, and nobody can argue that he passes the eyeball test. Why is the QB1 not carrying a clipboard? Oh, that's not what QB1 does. That's what QB2 does. The QB writing bitch. Guess who became the best quarterback in the whole world temporarily? Tom Brady. Why? Because he would carry his own clipboard. Did I mentor him? Yeah. Is that real? Look it up. Which is QB1 is now carrying the clipboard. Does QB1 complain that he's not the highest paid quarterback? Oh, should I quit my quarterbacking job at the Patriots because I'm the sixth highest paid player on the Patriots? Wah! This is how most quarterbacks talk, actually. Like, worried that they're making 19.1 mil when their competitor who's shitty is making 22.6. Like, why do you care? Like, that 3 million delta makes no difference if you can't win and make another 7 years at 25 mil. Did I just explain everything in the world because I have one chef in my kitchen, which is really 11 chefs? Because this is specific bibliography information that you can get from citing MMPPI, mentor mentions per press interview. So it's douchey AF to say Tom Brady, but he resembled your I want to quit my job because I'm not getting paid enough. Because how many people in Brady's condition who's not in the top 10 highest paid quarterbacks of a particular season want to say, I'm going to switch teams? And then when he did switch teams to the other team that I won't even mention, what was the money factor in that? It was plus $1 billion. And maybe $1 billion is outside of your realm of understanding because it's actually only 1,001 millions. But as far as blonde billionaires, who's batting 1,000? This guy. Because every time he did a press interview with Hurts on the backdrop, I'm thinking Tom Brady paid more money to the Buccaneers than when the Buccaneers paid him because he's running Hurts as an external API doing a turnaround. This is why you want to be QB1 and why you at your JOB just over broke. You want to start asking the question of, why am I such a shitty employee? What would my boss want me to do to get me to double my being a good employee? Why am I asking another dude about why I'm shitty at my job? Where, let's say you don't want to be at your job forever. The people who are at their job forever are the ones who have 11 chefs in the kitchen trying to not do their job. Do you like how I did that? Do you like how I did that? Where you try to distract me with a question and I brought it full circle? Because the first chef in the kitchen of your brain is the dude who's literally paying your rent, paying your mortgage, paying your 2 car loans, paying your I eat out 5 times a month, and I don't love DoorDash or Uber Eats, but your boss is paying for that. Do you see how when you ask, how do I leave the job, you're being a cliche taught female, that hottie over there, where females who have a great guy, they're just like, oh, well, I want to see if I can date Larry Chang because like he seems awesome and I'm just going to throw a Hail Mary and be hypergamous. Meh, hypergamy. That's us with a job that we are trying to exit. And are you doing a good job? Because it's Monday and it's 9:30 and you're thinking, "Oh, can I quit my job?" Monday at 9:30, you should just be happy that your boss is not thinking about firing you. Maybe he is. And then trying to do your boss's brain. In fact, we'll go from video club to EC, employee club, because everyone's like, oh, you would make a horrible employee. That's why you get fired. No. Entrepreneurs who become founders, they get fired because they do too good a job as an employee. So let's do entrepreneur club. That just rolls off the tongue. Let's do employee club. What is employee club? It's being a retard whisperer. Who's the retard? Your boss. Let's try to figure out what that seasoned executive is going to need, and let's put him into our brain, and let's start managing up the food chain. Why? Because this video is called 11 Chefs in the Kitchen of Your Head, and right now you're trying to put my 35 chefs that are in my brain into your brain while you're not focused on the focus of this video. And do you see how it gets not necessarily complicated, but the first thing we need to do is practice having one chef in our brain. And this is a quiz question for you, Cody, which is what was the first chef that was in my brain that I had? And bonus question, which is who was the chef that was supposed to be in my brain that I didn't listen? Because I similarly asked the loser question, which is, I'm not happy with my job on this baseball team. I want to be the starting shortstop. I don't want to just pitch at the end of a game and be a closer, okay? And so I was kind of half in and half out, not listening to Augie Garrido. And so the next dude who had similar jokes to say, which were all true, remind you of somebody that you know? I listened to those jokes knowing that he was being a douchebag whisperer. What's a douchebag whisperer? It's a coach that meets 17 studs per year that are chock full of testosterone, now interacting in a way where not everybody's going to be in the top 9. And so now we need to start assembling a team. That's what you need to do before you assemble your super team. And congrats for coming back. But what you need to do is you need to initially practice video club. Well, video club, I've asked you a number of times to do video club. Maybe not calling it video club, but you haven't. Now, as another iterative effort of iteration, let's do employee club. What's employee club? It's retard whispering to your boss who's trying to get you to do things and you're distracted. Employee club is let's start multiple party agenda fulfillment, a TechCrunch blog post that I wrote, which is what does your boss want you to do better? Now your boss is in your brain in a way which will cause employee club to shine because now your chef in your brain is your boss. What does he want you to do better? Because once you ask that question, like I could literally do your job in 3 hours per week. And that's not, oh, Larry's so confident. It's not. It's that I can hold a thought and categorize it where I seem to have an IQ of 500. And now I'm going to have my boss visually find so much use and output from my work that I am now running my boss like a hand up Mona Lisa skirt saying, say this next, say this next, do this next. Because I'm not going to say that I hand puppeted Tom Brady because he was PQRSTing that shiitake on his own. His memory, Like he 5x'd it. From when I met him with an IQ of like 100, he went 500. And was it me or was it just kindred souls? I don't know. But being kindred soul is this as the conclusion of this video if you guys don't have any questions. Which is kindred, which is where 650 pages are magically in alignment like it's parallel. That's kindred. Is before when we talked about the 650 pages of content, kindred is where you meet another person and nearly all 14 categories and 650 pages align. Why do I bring up kindred? The reason I got confused was that you had a similar logo and you had a similar anonymity and similar 24-year-old questions with like wanting to leave your job with a similar yet you're kindred. This is perfect. So you were kindred with Cody. Now, how do we DJ and hack kindred soul? And that is this. When we want to woo and charm a mentor or increase our draft stock or somehow charm a seasoned executive or speed seduce a billionaire, this is what we're going to do. Am I talking about pickup artistry for mentors? Yeah, because it's boring to be the dude who can walk in any bar and pick up women, okay? That's not necessarily boring, but it's cliche and actually not that talked about, but we'll set that aside. What is genius is being able to walk into any work conference or networking environment and to pick up any seasoned executive to force them into a deal. That is not trash talking. 5 bullet points right off the top of my head. When we're kindred, it is so easy because we don't even have to show 650 points of data points. We just need to show 2 or 3 of the 650. And we can, next bullet point, we can PQRST that executive. If that executive makes $500K a year and has $2 million, which is a low bar, guess what? In order to get to that level, they've been doing chefs in the kitchen with their brain properly run and PQRST, preview, question, read, summarize, test. The other thing that we can do, look that up, preview, question, read, summarize, test. Yes, Tom Brady also did that. Yes, he was also showing off on the football field by literally saying 2 sentences encapsulating that PQRST format. Being kindred with an executive that we don't know in order to corral them into a deal works like this. Looking at what they've said or what they've written or what press they've appeared in and just reading it. Because people are having a really hard time reading right now. And if you're able to read and do an expansion on a prior, you just need to do 1 or 2 expansions on a prior. Oh, Larry, is this also your 0 to 2 video series? Yes, where you remix and then green screen or collab. And if this is the first time that we've met, you should probably write down my name, Larry Chiang, Chiang. Why are these videos like all at like 62 views? And do you really know the people that you know? I am never going to chase views because I am popular at every bar I go to. I am popular at every work event I go to. Why? Because I install How to Work a Room by Susan Rowan, and I can literally charm an entire room into loving me. Why? Because I've mastered the book, How to Work a Room. Did I write a book report on it? Yeah. It went viral on TechMeme. That's how I know Gabe Rivera. And these aren't name drops if you've never heard of these people. These are specific citations which goes into bibliography. And so we can continue to charm executives into doing deals. This is bullet point number 4 if you are taking notes. And is this worth $50,000? Fuck yeah, it is. Bullet point number 4, which is get a paper notebook. So when you bring a paper notebook and you say, oh my gosh, it was great meeting you, can you repeat what you just said? They're going to be like, what? You're actually taking notes? Because how most people take notes is they write it in their phone. Oh, Heather's notebook. Another blonde billionaire. That's a hobby. That's a hobby, which is getting a blonde to be a billionaire. Why? Why do blondes make good billionaires? Because this is how they listen to me. Really, Larry? Tell me more. They pretend listen to me because they want me to fuck them. And then after listening to me for like a couple weeks, they're like, oh my God, this shit actually makes sense. That's actually chapter 11, sexual energy transmutation. Because most dudes, when they're like, oh, she's ready to go, they go. Do I go? No. I'm on chapter 11, which is sexual energy transmutation. I'm like, take that fuck energy and that frustration and put it into Stanford Engineering Lecture 9 distribution. And then when you master distribution, I'll give you a little sugar. And is that supposed to be funny? Yeah, it's hilarious. Because who does that? I do. That's why I became famous. Maybe you don't know me, and that's okay. Maybe your confidence level is like, oh, he's too confident. He rubs me the wrong way. He might ask me to buy something. This is what I'm selling. I'm selling for $750,000 the ability to sell like you're an engineering major who's good at selling cars. $750,000. Are you in? It doesn't matter if you're in or not because I already have free videos on that content. So you self-study it, and then if you get to be a billionaire, maybe you can give me $750K. Maybe you can fuck me on that money. I don't care, okay? But I am offering to sell you a course because everyone's like, you should sell a course. Okay, $750K. What am I going to learn from it? All the shit that's already buried as an Easter egg on my YouTube. What else am I selling you? If you're females watching and you're like, my girlfriend told me that like she's into you and she wanted me to check out your channel. What am I selling? Ladies, this is what I'm selling. $275,000 baby juice for you. Now, if this baby juice yields a baby that goes to Stanford University and plays 2 pro sports, you owe me $275K. That's what I'm selling. If it doesn't play 2 sports, you can keep the $275K, but you have it written and you're on the hook in writing for getting that sperm. And so if you want to go to a sperm bank, it's $400 for garden variety jizz. Okay, like I don't know if $400 is free or like you're gonna buy a baby that's gonna turn into a baby for $400, and you can't know. You don't know anything about it. Just whether or not it went to college, and then whether or not the donor has heart disease. That's it. That's it. Don't you want to know like more about intelligence or a face or whatever. That's why my jizz I'm selling for $275,000. Where did this come from? From the 11 chefs that are in my kitchen, because this content is so basic, but I got value from this because of the interaction, which is why I'm willing to do video club. Like, I'm not going to charge you to do video club with you. I won't even charge you to do book club. So you tell me a book that you want to read, and we'll practice having one chef in our brain. When was the last time you read 15 pages in a row? That's having one chef in your brain while you're reading a book, because the 11 chefs, they're trying to distract you with some dopamine connections that are disconnecting what you are doing right now with your future value. So, to finish off the bullet points for getting an exec to do a deal with you, is remember when I said expand on a prior? You want to expand on a prior again. And then you want to expand on a prior again by saying, hey, I met this executive at this conference, Larry Chang at TechCrunch. I guess he's the co-founder of Disrupt. Anyway, this is the value that I got. This is the video that I'm doing to get ready for next year's Disrupt. And that's how to become a female blonde billionaire, because it turns out after you hear this stuff coming from Mark McCormack, thank you, and you're welcome for how much I promote you. He passed away. And so, is this funny shit that you're watching from heaven? Fuck yeah, it is. Which is when this content, it gels like you're having the one person in your kitchen. Why? Because you're kindred, because you earned Mark McCormack as a mentor, because you blew it with Augie Garrido, who is trying to mentor you. And then you need to let your next mentor know, physically, spiritually, kindredly, and emotionally, that, hey, my last mentor was telling me some of the same shiitake that you're telling me, and I've since apologized. And I've since I've since attempted to amend. That is what I want for you in 11 chefs in the kitchen of your head to conclude with, which is multiple calls to action with one specific route that you can take towards running your brain better and getting literally astronomically awesome results, as if you've got an IQ of 500, where you need to initially be a non-player, avoid being a non-player character who's getting coded by the algorithm. Default NPC, default dead, default not good results. But after Video Club, I think your results are going to be jaw-droppingly amazing, in addition to Book Club. Book Club. Book Club. 11 ways, 11 chefs in the kitchen of your brain. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. It was great spending time with you.